get a little break from the rain today. Just talk a little bit about, working in the conditions we were working in, and we were out of the rain yesterday, but we're in kind of a flooded situation here with the door being broke. So anytime we're working with electricity and water, that's not two things that typically we mix together. Kurt and I were at a Shell meeting, I think Tuesday of this week, and that's pretty much what we talked about for the first hour was electrical safety, and got to hear a lot of guys talk about a lot of accidents that injured a lot of people in terms of electricity. The majority of them seem to be what we're doing at our house and not paying as much attention as we pay here at work, because we have processes in place to make it happen correctly here. But if we're working in that water condition, certainly the first thing we can do, man, is shut down the work and sweep the water out of here. If it's continuing to come in on us, that's a little bit different situation. Ideally, we'll get the doors fixed and it won't be a problem, but we have to have the ability to look at what we're dealing with and reassess how to deal with it when we see something like that. So make sure that we're inspecting our extension cords. Make sure that we're unplugging them when we're rolling them up. That was a real good one that a guy at Shell talked about, and I'd never really heard about any serious injury with somebody rolling up an extension cord. And there was an older guy there that talked about somebody actually dying from rolling up an extension cord and stayed caught up in it because he was rolling it up and it was plugged in and it had been rolled over, and he hit some wire and he went on the ground and went stiff, and it wound up killing him. So there's potential hazards out there at every turn, and what the organization wants you to do is address them, mitigate them. Elimination is ideal. There's a lot of them that we can eliminate. So through our training and through our personal protective equipment, we have ways to minimize the impact of them to us. But if we don't take the time to do that, at some point or another, something's going to come to see someone. So take the time to work through your hazards, and again, get them out of your way so you can do your work without having anything to worry about. Material handling. Last Friday we talked about a couple little incidents with trucks. We've had a lot of trucks in and out of here this week. Everybody's doing a fine job. And I think it's just something that from time to time has to get reinforced. From time to time somebody needs a reminder. But we know how to handle the trucks. Trucks are a big issue with us over here. And the safety of the people doing the loading, offloading, as well as making sure that the truck driver is not in our way and is in no way in any kind of hazardous situation. So make sure when trucks come in here, we get with the driver. We've got everything we need to do the offloading process without getting into any trouble. We're talking about trying to get this deck out of here on the 22nd. Quite a deck it is, and it's going to come out of the shop, and then we're going to crab over toward the front of the machine shop. Third-party contractor will come out here and do the blasting and painting on it, so we'll actually put netting all the way around it, but there'll be a bunch of work taking place outside the shop for an extended period of time. So the dynamics of the yard changes from time to time. Just make sure you always consider that fact. Might be a lot different tomorrow over here than it was today, because we shift work around and we've got different areas that get busy. So when you're crossing the yard, when you're moving from point A to point B, make sure you're doing it at a safe enough speed to be able to overcome something adverse, and make sure you're paying attention to where you're going. Make sure if we're moving something large that we are escorting it. Got too many blind corners and too much activity going on. We've got some Chet Morrison contractors that should be coming in this morning. I think it's only 2 today, but we'll have some contractors coming into the fabrication process with us. Make them guys feel at home. We're bringing them in because we want them to be part of the team, and we want them to help us get some work done, fellas. So make sure that they're doing it the right way. Be cooperative with them, and if they need some help, let's get them to where they need to be in terms of the tool room or whatever else it is they need. And as time goes on, and as the window of opportunity to finish work gets a little bit tighter, we may see quite a few more. So it's not something we've not done in the past, and we know how to handle it. So let's just stay on top of our game, fellas. At the end of the meeting, we talked about Rennis last Friday. At the end of the meeting, we're going to take up a collection for Rennis's family. And for those of you who weren't here last Friday, Rennis was an employee in the mechanic shop, was killed on his motorcycle on the morning of July the 4th. Young man, 21 years of age, left a pregnant girlfriend behind. And if you've got something that we can bring to the family, there's actually going to be a funeral tomorrow, and the funeral's at 1 o'clock. Visitation will start at 9 o'clock, and that's Lights Egan on the West Bank Expressway. So the little write-up in the paper said that they would really like to see some Versabar employees there. We were part of his family, guys. So if you can make a little time tomorrow, if you can reach down in your pocket and grab a couple of dollars, it sure would be appreciated, and I can guarantee you it'll make you feel good when you do it. What y'all got this morning, fellas? It's going to be Patrick. Yes.
I'd like to congratulate him for 19 years of watching this company grow.
If watching it grow, he made it grow. If anybody read the end capper, and Lynn, 19 years with the organization, and a pretty good little article there, Lynn. And Lynn's integral to the group here. And and as we all are, but Lynn comes in on a lot of big things, and he comes in on a lot of small things, and what he does with them is he gets them done. So we appreciate you, Lynn.
Got a dust mask from health
Dust mask, especially when we have very little air. And we got a lot of guys around here right now with sinus issues. That's one thing that can create a sinus issue for you and start some infection in your sinus cavity. If you're going to be exposed to a lot of dust, grab a dust mask and try to minimize the impact of it to you.
Oh, golf course safety. I noticed, we got business that come in the yard. They got backup alarms on some of them. People trying to take the golf carts, go behind them while they're backing up. It ain't a good thing to do.
We talked a little bit about this. I just went through the other day to get with some issues with the way crew guys about our vehicle operating procedures, and a golf cart is a company vehicle, fellas. When you're out on the golf course, it's something you can rent and go play golf with over here. That's a company vehicle. We expect you to drive it with the same respect you drive out on the road with. As contractors come into the yard, people that jump on golf carts should be authorized to be on the golf cart and should understand how to safely operate the golf cart. And we're just running right real quick through it. Arms and legs need to stay on the golf cart. When you get off the golf cart, you need to put it in neutral, and you need to turn it off if you have a key in it, or turn the switch off on it. We don't need to park golf carts behind other golf carts, and that happens a lot. They will cluster up somewhere because something's going on, and it's just a pile of golf carts. Kind of pay attention to where you're parking your golf cart. And we need them over here, fellas, but you heard it before. I'll say it again. We broke a leg over here with a golf cart. Seriously broke someone's leg that was out of work about 7 months because of a golf cart. So as vital as it is to us, if we had another serious injury with one, I can almost guarantee you that they'd look at taking them away from us and we'd just walk across the yard. So pay attention in the golf carts to what you're doing. And that's you guys. That's you supervisors. That's people that aren't here that we have to remind on a daily basis because we forget. You need to be paying attention to what you're doing when you're driving a golf cart. I told the story a while ago. I was doing about 45 on Belle Highway this morning and had a woman pull right out in front of me. And I had to swerve into the other lane. She had her phone in her hand. She was looking at her phone. And she had her window down, so I gave her a little piece of my mind, and I told her if I would have been doing what you were doing, we'd be waiting on an ambulance right now. So you have to be paying attention to what you're doing. Keep your eye on the prize, man, and stay in the game. And there's a lot of opportunities when we're off to not be too concerned with what and how it is we're doing. But over here, when you look at all this iron, fellas, you look at all this equipment, we need to pay attention to what we're doing, right? And again, we're doing an excellent job with it. Eye injuries, let me real quick, Sydney, because this is pretty important. We had a guy in Houston that got something in his eye and waited a long time to tell somebody about having something in his eye. They sent him to the clinic 3 days after he had it in his eyes, and the clinic couldn't even get it out. They made an appointment for the young man at an eye specialist, and he didn't keep the appointment. And so another couple of days went by, and then he wound up in the emergency room. And he could wind up with a little bit loss of vision in his eye. And I know it's kind of difficult, fellas, with something that seems minor. You know, I go through a day over here from time to time and get a little something in my eye. But if you think a piece of metal, or you feel something and you continue to feel it, come let us know. And because that can be pretty serious. And you want to keep your vision. So we say report everything. And believe me, from time to time, everything becomes a little bit more than maybe we want to see. But when it comes to your eyes, man, let's just get something put down on paper and document that you think something happened over here, and then when it does become something, we've got a no issue with it. We just take care of the problem. Go ahead, Sydney.
I was just thinking before everybody lose their privileges on it, maybe the person that's actually not being so safe on it ought to lose a little privilege.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And look, let me tell you something, Sydney. That all sounds good, but we've always been a company that tries to give people the opportunity to turn around and make a change. It's getting a little bit old, because at some point or another you think some people are just not wanting to make the change and just saying, I don't have to do it. When we have to deal with it, we're going to deal with it. But I agree with you. If you can't get it at some point or another, man, you need to go to work for somebody else, in my opinion. So just try to do the right thing. It's easy enough. It's actually easier to do the right thing than it is to be out there screwing up all day long. Who else? That's, and I agree with you, TJ, and that's something that we go in there, we go into these manager meetings and we talk about how to spend money, and we bring up windshields and we bring up windshield wipers, and when they're kind enough to us, we get some things replaced. But we actually do this morning after our ISO meeting, we kind of stay in there and have another little meeting, and I will bring that up. And it would help. And you know what? If you're in the cherry picker, and I hate to default to this, but if you're in the cherry picker and you can't see what you're doing because you don't have windshield wipers, what do? Shut it down, fellas. Shut it down. And sometimes that's what's going to bring what we need to us. I don't even want to say that's unfortunate. Sometimes they just have to realize the importance of what we're asking for. And they can't realize it because the people that we go in there and ask for these things have never sat in a cherry picker with it raining trying to operate. So we'll continue to pound it home, but at the end of the day, Shell talked about this at the Shell meeting. They had a guy, and it was a hydraulic leak is what he saw, but he didn't know it was hydraulic fluid. He didn't know what it was. And they were doing hot work pretty close to it, and when he saw it, he hit the ESD station. Shut the whole platform there. Cost Shell $7 million. And that's the higher up in the Shell meeting were saying, ain't one thing gonna happen to that guy. And if he saw it the same way again, we want him to do the same thing. So before you work your way into a Macondo well blowout and some people dead, or a lot of property damage, let's shut it down. And then, you know, we get to the point where maybe we have to do something. And again, I don't know if that's right, but sometimes that's what it takes. So we should probably see more stop the job. What we continue to do over here, fellas, is we continue to try and operate at times when maybe we need to regroup. And we're going to have to acquire that skill because the end result is usually equipment damage to us or something like that. So understand that when you don't have what you need, when you can't see clearly, when it's unsafe to be doing what you're doing, our preference is to stop doing it until we can make it safe. Who else? We got the mob list for the first guys heading to Indonesia, and they'll leave the first week of August. I think it's 12 on the first mob, so that job's fixing to get into full gear. They're saying 3 to 6 months on the job. If everything goes all right, I think a little less than 3 months they'll have it done. Anadarko crew's on the last can. We had 5 to do, and they're on the last one, so they will be finished and moving in probably in the next 10 days. Got some more big shell work. The clamps that left out of here is actually the meeting I went to. That's some riser pull-ins, and we'll wind up with about a 10-man crew out there. So offshore work is picking up speed, man. So we got to get this out of here because we got some BP skids. So we back into having plenty of work mode. So y'all watch one another, fellas. Make sure we're doing it right. Anybody else? Patrick, raise your hand. Y'all give some money to Patrick. Appreciate it, fellas. Y'all have a good day. We're going to do some sausage